Tonight we're talking about bait. Whether it's pilchards, pinfish, crabs, goggle eyes, threadfins, or ballyhoos, they all serve their purpose depending on what you want to fish for and what you want to catch. We've got you covered here on the one and only Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We know this Labor Day weekend was a bit tropical stormy for everyone, but we still hope you all had a fun and safe Labor Day. I know I did. I had a little Netflix and chill weekend. That's okay. But looking ahead, Rick, we're fresh into September and we're talking all about fresh bait today.
You know what, Brie, you're 100% right. And I've learned over the years that having a fresh bait certainly makes a huge difference. And you know, one of the ways I learned is a lot of times you'd catch a fish and you'd rebait and boom, you throw it out and catch another one. And meanwhile, the bait that's been already out there for a little while didn't seem to work for you. No. So fresh bait is the key to catching a big fish. Fresh
is the best. Well, Rick, we like to eat bait too, so that's why Chef Jacqueline is here cooking up her signature Florida bait dish for us. I'm very excited to hear about that. And of course, Dave is going to have a little something to say, as always, at the CCA workbench.
Yep, we sure are. We're talking about bait. Rick's a half scoop.
Rick's a half scoop.
There you
go.
A half a scoop?
You're half scoop.
Half scoop.
Not a full scoop.
Look forward to hearing about being half and
right
full.
Here.
Maybe it has to do with being Irish or something. I don't know.
Probably. Probably. The Bell Southwest region is first up tonight with your bait and weekend fishing report. So let's make up for last weekend's weather, shall we, Ronnie?
Well, always great to start off with the Bell Southwest region. You know what? When it comes to bait, probably the #1 used bait in the wintertime is going to be shrimp, either cut or live. And that's really due to the water temps and the fish being a little more lethargic, both inshore and on the offshore side. But early spring through fall is where the variety of baits are used, and that's where live bait generally starts to kick in. Now, if you're familiar with the area and you have experience with a net, I strongly recommend a Calusa cast net. They've been around for a long time, and they build a quality net. But then also, if you're learning or not familiar, you can always buy the cheaper brand, which is called the Cracker, until you get things figured out, and then upgrade. It costs a little less. The most common is going to be an 8-foot or a 10-foot in the quarters and 3/8. Now, the pilchards and threadfins can generally be caught around structure, piers, beaches, blowdowns, and grass flats. Now, live pinfish on grass flats and structure. Now, on the offshore side, most species that you're fishing for on the bottom, it's really going to be about the cut baits, and they can be easily bought at most bait and tackle shops. That would be your squid, sardines, herrings. But fish like mangrove snappers and yellowtails should be chummed and dropping back small cut baits. Now, on the inshore side, live pilchards, herring, finger mullet, pinfish, and shrimp will catch most redfish, snook, trout, snappers, sheephead, and tarpon, and tripletail. But remember, very good #1 key baits for the tarpon and permits will be live crabs, either bought or dipped in most passes, current lines, or on some offshore wrecks. And I got a prime example of chumming and dropping back some small cup baits of some guys who watched the show, liked the show, and invited me and put me on a good mangrove snapper bite. So chumming, once the fish started slowing up, we re-chummed again. Quality snapper caught on the offshore side of Naples.
Look at
you. On the inshore side, the redfish. You know, it's spotted reports of Staro Bay with scattered redfish along the east wall from Rocky Creek to Hickory Bay on the higher stages along mangrove shorelines, as well as to the south, Coon Key to Indian Key on the outer Gulf Islands. Now you want to concentrate on deadwood, blowdowns, and mangrove shorelines, also on the higher stages. Now the key baits have been live pilchards, live shrimp, cut mullet, cut ladyfish, gold spoons, topwater walk-the-dog lures, and chartreuse, chrome and bone, also yellow bucktails, tipwood shrimp, and I got a prime example of a nice redfish caught in the southern end of the region. Now on the offshore side, like I said earlier, the mangrove snappers and yellowtails. Mark Road to Fort Myers Beach, fishing hard bottom, wrecks, and ledges. Depths are going to be 65 to 85 feet of water. Now, the key here is going to be anchored up correctly to the structure. Close enough to draw the fish up by chumming. Once they are chummed up, cut baits drop back, and once the bite starts to slow down, chum again, just enough to keep the fish going. And we also, you can flatline or a little weight at it. And to the guys who took me fishing, there's a fine bunch of guys with a nice limit of mangrove snappers, and thank you guys. Also, on the offshore side, the Spanish mackerels. Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, from the beach line out to 15 miles. Fishing wrecks, large bait pods, and groups of birds. You can work these areas by trolling silver spoons or see the fish crashing the baits. Once located, it's relatively simple. Gotcha lures, silver spoons, white and chartreuse bucktails, and live pilchards. Now, if you get into the schools, live threadfins or blue runners have been catching some king mackerel. It's about that time of year, up to 30 pounds in those schools. And also, please make sure to catch that trophy fish. Make sure you have a trace of wire to avoid the cutoffs. It's a pleasure being here this week.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Calusa cast nets, hotspots from the Southwest region. Inshore, juvenile tarpon. The Mayaca cut off of Eljo Bean and the Peace River feeder creeks, points, and with current, you got to make sure you got current. Lee shorelines early in the morning using flies, chugging lures, prop baits, and soft plastic jerk baits. And then offshore, permit, new pass to stump pass, fishing wrecks as close as 5 to 25 miles out using live crabs. And the bite has been great, Brie. You know about that.
My little half scoop, you don't know what. Sorry, that's what I'm thinking of right now. Second in line tonight is Captain Pat Deneen in the Yeti Panhandle region with your bait and bite info. So Captain Pat, let's hear it. My little half scoop.
Hey, Brie, inshore this time of year, baits of choice are going to be pilchards, menhaden, croakers. All baits you need to catch for yourself. As Ronnie just mentioned, the shrimp are good, live shrimp are good in the wintertime in the cooler months, but those minnows you're going to have to catch with a net. Quarter-inch mesh cast net is great for the pilchards, while a 3/8 cast mesh net will work great for the menhaden and croakers. I've got a 10-foot cracker net in a quarter-inch. It works great for those pilchards, easy to throw and opens well. A smaller net will do, but I don't recommend anything less than 8 feet. Croakers can be net caught or caught hook and line with cut bait. I like to fish the muddy bottom bayous for croakers using a 2-hook chicken rig with a cut squid or cut bait, just basically cut bait. Gulf side is going to be herring, cigar minnows, thread fins, hardtails, all baits you need to catch on your own with a sabiki rig at the passes. The incoming tides, they will often be up in the pass, while on the outgoing tides, look for them on the tide line or just east or west of the pass. And then Panama City, Destin, Pensacola, we've all got a live bait boat selling live bait during the season. Those guys generally are selling cigar minnows and herrings, and Steve and Mike of Destin Live Bait take good care of us here in the Destin area. Inshore, the big bull redfish are definitely starting to do their fall thing. They're being caught at all the passes, particularly on the falling tide. It's primarily a live bait deal, although you can sometimes get them with a jig. Use a Carolina rig with 1 to 3 ounces of lead, depending on the current, 3 to 4 feet, a 30 to 40 pound leader, and a circle hook size to your bait. Nose hook your bait to keep them faced up into the current. Otherwise, if you tail hook them, they're going to be, they're going to drown. They're going to be tail into the current. Pinfish, spot minnows, and finger mullets all work well, but live croakers are hand down the best bait to use. Most of these redfish are over slot, and there's a photo of a spotless redfish caught with Captain Jordan Smith. His client out of Destin caught that fish this past week, and I've only seen one spotless redfish, so that's pretty cool.
That guy got gypped, didn't he?
That's right. Hey, Rick, offshore, before the rough weather, a pretty good white marlin bite was going on. Typically, this time of the year, white marlin and sailfish bunch up off the southwest edge in the vicinity of the nipple, the elbow, and the 131 hole. The squiggles can also be a good area. Quite a few were caught there this past week before Gordon churned things up. Keep an eye on your bottom machine. Pay particular attention to areas where you've marked bait mid-water. Troll small to mid-size naked or split-bill ballyhoo. Add a skirt or duster if you want to give it some color. And pulling dredges and daisy chains will definitely increase your odds. Additionally, there have been some wahoo caught, so it's a good idea to pull a lip plug like a Rapala 30 off the corner. The fishery usually is good through September, also into October. And then finally, offshore, the amberjacks are still good on the deeper wrecks and high-relief natural areas. Live baits rule, and the livelier the better. Mullets are starting to bunch up. They can be caught with a cast net. Blue runners can be caught in the passes along the beach with sabiki rigs or jigs. These are both high-energy baits that work real well for the amberjacks. Porgies, mingos, and big pinfish also make great baits. Fish your baits mid-water. Wherever you're marking the jacks, fish at that depth. Use a long leader to give your bait plenty of elbow room to run around. And keep some baits fishing once hooked up, even if you pull up, well off the wreck. Other jacks get fired up and will often stay with that hook fish as it struggles. The legal jacks are run about 25 pounds, but they go from 25 pounds up to more jack than you want.
All right, thank you so much, Pat Tar. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Yeti Panhandle region. Inshore, big jack crevalles in Pensacola Bay. Look for them cruising the bar. And then offshore, troll ballyhoo for white marlin at the nipple, elbow, and the 131 hole.
All right, get ready, anglers. We're throwing our net over to the Central West region. You just got me wet,
What?
Dave. And then we're catching up with Dave at the CCA workbench, who's got quite a bit going on over
what
there.
baits? Live goggle eyes?
That's right, boy.
He caught that during the commercial.
Oh,
break,
I
shoot.
did.
Let's take that
Yeah.
home with us. We'll be right back.
Put him back, Dave. He's breathing hard, baby.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. And Sea Sucker. Get pumped.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
If you want to set your fishing on fire, check out the new Ricky Red rods by Akuma. I've personally designed these rods to make you a better fisherman. This graphite rod is light, strong, and very well balanced, and it will feel great in your hand. And the Fuji reel seats and guides will accommodate your favorite size reel. I love them so much that I even put my name on it. Ricky Red Rods by Akuma.
Welcome back. Here's a look at the FWC news and notes. September 10th is the Anna Maria Island PS Boating Course in Bradenton, and September 11th is the Cape Coral PS Boating Course. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now let's head to the workbench for rigs and techniques.
Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques, and Dave, at the CCA workbench, it looks
Yes.
like we're a little wet.
Yeah, man, I had a lot of bait flying, kicking water around. Well, you know, we're talking about bait, and, you know, having live bait is paramount a lot of times. You know, if you're really serious about your fishing, at one point you're going to have to get good at taking care of catching and taking care of live bait. And because there's hardly anything better. When you're feeding the fish the thing that he eats all the time, your chances of catching him go way, way up. And there's really there's 4 ways to get it. You can buy it, which, you know, comes with a lot of problems. You know, sometimes you can get less than perfect bait. Bait costs a lot of money. However, it can be convenient. And I got these baits that I have today from Lighthouse Point, and those guys really do a great job. I mean, these things have been in this little cooler all day with a bubbler, and they are still ready to go. You know, I got pilchards and goggle eyes. So, you wanna hold one?
Yeah, sure. All right, so I'm gonna hold a gog.
All right.
And look,
This is
guys,
the pilchard.
Here's what you need to know about baits, and I'm not taking over your thing, but
No worries.
the key is when you're going to buy baits, whether it's from a guy out on the water or at a tackle store.
These things look good. They're
Look for
perfect.
baits that don't have any red nose, no red tail, no red on his body. And if you have pretty baits like this,
Kicking too, look at
then
that.
you have a huge advantage.
Correct.
Versus somebody who has any red whatsoever.
Right.
Listen to him. grunting.
So when you're buying, when you're buying bait, those are the things you need to look for. And what's really good about them is they're very convenient. Now, another way to get them is, you heard the boys talk about using a cast net. Now, a cast net, the advantages of that is you can get a whole lot of bait, in one throw. The disadvantage is a lot of times it messes up a lot of the bait, knocks some scales off, all of them together, rubbing together. If you're not going to put them in a pen and let them get healthy again, that kind of bait can be a detriment sometimes. But, having the skill to be able to use a cast net and to be able to get all that bait on the day that you're going to use it is a great thing to have. I would definitely learn how to use a cast net.
Can I add one thing, Dave?
Sure.
The one thing that I've seen as a guide for many years is that somebody will go back to the live well to get a bait, and they'll scoop up 15 baits at one time. Guys, don't scoop up a whole bunch of baits and now have them bouncing off of each other, or more importantly, scratching their sides.
Right.
Dip one at a time so that they don't knock their scales
off.
It
freaks them out. It freaks them out, and it adds stress to them. You want them to be, happy bait. So try not to mess around with them too much. Another good thing about cast nets is they make nets for everything, from big mullet all the way down to shrimp.
Right.
Once you learn how to throw a cast net, you can throw them all.
Right.
And you can get good at all of it. Now, another way to catch bait is to use little gold hooks or sabiki rigs with bait on them. Try to use an Aberdeen hook, something with a little bit of a long shank, so you avoid gut hooking the fish and you can get the hook out of them real easy, because you don't want to hurt them too bad when you hook them. The good thing about catching bait with hooks is you get really good pristine baits. You don't handle them. When you catch them on the little hair hook, you use a de-hooker and put them right into your live well. The bad thing about it is you're fishing, which is a good thing. It's fun if you're catching them. The bad thing is if they're not there, it can be a pain if you can't get a hold of them and catch them.
Let's talk a little bit about bubblers, Dave, because certainly if you buy them at a bait shop, you still got to get to the boat ramp and get out on the water.
Correct. It's amazing the types that they have today. This one down here is a big bubbler that will fit actually into a cooler. You can adjust it. You can fit on the side of the cooler. You can also, adjust the height of the pipe there and put it in sideways. So just to do it, you can turn a whole cooler. That one will aerate 32 gallons of water. And these goggle eyes and pilchards have been in this little bait cooler for, I don't know, since noon today, and it's late in the day. And this thing keeps the temperature right, and that little bubbler will last 72 hours with 2 D batteries.
And remember this, guys, when the stone is laying on the bottom, now you're aerating from the bottom to the surface.
Correct.
You're airing the up the whole water column.
Yep, and you can also buy these whole buckets with just the lid, and that thing will keep a ton of bait alive for a long time with just 2 D batteries. Well, it's amazing.
I wish we'd have had 10 minutes tonight over here. Don't you think, Brie? We did a really good job. Dave had it covered.
Yes, you did. You guys were all about that bait tonight.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there we go. All right, the Star Trend Central West region is now on deck, and Captain Jeff Page is at the helm. Go for it, Page.
Hey, you know what? In the Startron Central West region, there's never a shortage of bait, nor ways to catch it. Probably the most popular way we catch bait in our region is with a cast net, and probably the most popular size cast net as far as catching a variety of bait fish and not worrying about getting gilled up bait is a 1/4-inch mesh. A starting size for a youngster or beginner net would probably be a 6 or 8 footer. As you get better at it, you can start opening up 10 and 12, and there's even young guys that throw 14 footers. But anyway, that 1/4-inch mesh net will catch just about every species of fish, from pilchards to pinfish, scale sardines, Spanish sardines, threadfins, grunts, even ballyhoo. And as you move up in mesh size, your net's going to sink faster in deeper water. That being said, you got to take into consideration that throwing on a deep bridge or deeper water, you know what, you got to watch out that the bait's big enough that it doesn't get gilled up. 1-inch cast net will catch mullet and big giant sardines and threadfins. Another good way is a sabiki rig. And then another way we catch bait is with crab traps and pinfish traps that Rick Murphy taught me about. And then the last way, in the passes, either out of your boat or off docks or bridges, you can use long-handled dip nets under the lanterns or lights, or just on the outgoing tide at night, and you can dip up nice crabs and shrimp. I have a photo of my bait catch yesterday and that's a full tub of bait with one throw with my Calusa net. And out of that full tub of bait, 4 different species came. That's a pilchard, a pinfish, a Spanish sardine, and a threadfin herring.
Nice, cool. That's a good job, Paige. I appreciate you taking those pictures. All right, what else you got? Let's go inshore.
All right, redfish. With all the afternoon rains we've had, the redfish seem to be a lot more active. And with that red tide lightening up, especially down the south part of our region, Rick, Charlotte Harbor and Lemon Bay are starting to look like there's some good stuff happening down there. Bull Bay, Turtle Bay, around the oyster bars at high tide, and then in the potholes at the lower tide, guys are catching quality redfish, live pinfish, cut ladyfish, or soft plastics like the Saltwater Assassin 5-inch golden brim jerkbait rigged on a 1/4-ounce jig head. North part of the region, Terracea Bay, North, Ruskin to Piney Point, a few big schools of fish are showing up. Key, Rick, is look for the birds hovering, and don't think that if you catch a jack or a bluefish out of the school that it's just that, because you've been with me and seen the redfish are in there with them. It's also good to have a soft plastic and a topwater plug ready to throw when you find these big schools pushing. Got a redfish photo tonight of Buster from one of our bait guys, Calusa and Cracker Cast Nets, with a nice redfish he got with me after we had cast netted some really nice pilchards. Moving offshore, gag grouper. You know what? Quality gag grouper bite is still going strong. 110 to 140 feet of water off Bradenton Beach, north of St. Pete Beach. They're holding over ledges and small areas of hard bottom. Try bringing a mixture of live pinfish as well as some frozen sardines. And don't worry about the pinfish. You can stop and sabiki those up at the mile markers on your way out the inlet. Don't spend too long over one small area of hard bottom. Captain Chris Seeger says he's been doing real well, bumping and running, and don't be surprised if you pick up a couple nice mangrove snapper or cobia as well. Got a nice gag photo tonight of Captain Randy Powell of My Seashell charter boat on a nice gag nighttime trip. Last species is the amberjacks. Amberjacks are holding in 80 to 110 feet throughout the entire region. He has been getting set up, dropping down live pinfish or blue runners. You're going to come up with some big AJs. Got a photo tonight, Captain Eric White and crew with a giant amberjack.
All right, thank you so much, Paige. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck, Central West region hotspots. Paige says inshore speckled trout, lots of 16 to 19-inch trout are holding on the grass flats off of the Manatee River and Rattlesnake Key. And then offshore red groupers, keeper reds are being taken over hard bottom areas off of Venice to Inglewood in 110 feet of water, Brie.
Well, Rick, since we're talking about Daiquiri Deck, this is a good time to tell everyone about your meet and greet.
All right.
All right. Join Captain Rick, Jeff Hageman, and Jeff Page at Daiquiri Deck in Siesta Key, October 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. for some photos, giveaways, fish stories, and of course, daiquiris.
That's right.
That was a fun time last year.
Yes, it was.
It was nice meeting everybody over there. And on October 3rd, I will be joining Rick, Jeff Page, and Jeff Hageman for the Harbor Truck Seminar in Port Charlotte from 4:30 to 8 p.m. So come on over, get to know us, ask some questions, and of course, check out some Harbor Trucks vehicles.
And we're going to be doing test drives.
Fun.
Me and you.
What? We are?
I didn't want to tell you.
Oh, shoot.
We're going to go up on that bad track they got.
I'm excited, can't wait. All right, Floridians, the Northeast and Northwest regions are up, so stay hooked on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and we will be right back. You mean we're gonna get to drive that?
That one.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, any fish, any water, since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle. When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine, putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Hi, this is Chris Freeland of Harbor Trucks, and I have some exciting news for all you truck lovers out there. Not only will my team be on site 7 days a week to help you find the best deal on the truck of your dreams, but now we will be coming to you online every single week.
That's right. Our team of truck specialists and other industry experts are going to be bringing you weekly segments to discuss everything trucks. And we're not asking you to just sit back and watch.
We want you to comment, call, and even come in and get involved.
Come on, let's go meet some of our experts.
I'm Zach Bowling. I've driven almost any truck you can imagine, even these, back when I was in the military. I can't wait to talk about the Ford, the Chevy, the Dodge, the Jeep, the Toyota, the Nissan trucks we sell and turn into the baddest off-road trucks around. I'm especially excited to show you our new custom builds on the new Nissan Titan that come in either the gas or the monster Cummins diesel.
I'm Lee Titchworth, and I've been selling every make of truck to large commercial accounts all over the country for over 30 years now. I'm excited to show how Harbor's Trucks' dedicated commercial department can design and deliver the perfect upfitted van or truck for any small business anywhere in the country. Also, I cannot lie, with America's best 5-year, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, I deliver a lot of Nissans. Finally, I'm going to introduce you to some real-life business owners and show you how I help them solve everyday problems and put more in their bottom line.
I'm Grady Wells, and when I'm not getting yelled at to cut my hair, I spend a lot of time keeping up with the new tech in the auto industry. While I love making sure everyone can connect to their Bluetooth and rock out to their favorite tunes using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I also like to show how new features like Pro Pilot Assist and how 360-degree around view monitoring can keep your family safe.
We personally invite everyone to subscribe to the Harbor Trucks Facebook page right now.
We don't want you to miss our premiere segment.
You think they get it?
Yep.
I think they get it.
I think they get it. And I finally saw
get
that
it,
track
big.
we're going to go on.
That's
which
right.
I'm super excited about.
Four-wheel, four-wheel, high, four-wheel, anything.
Oh
Just
gosh, I'm
driving and
scared.
going.
I'm scared.
Come on.
All right, guys, how would you like to win a Nissan Titan from Harbor Trucks? Well, the Harbor Trucks giveaway is making it easy, and all you have to do is go to their Facebook page, like it, mark going to an event, and tag a friend. But there are so many more ways to enter until the end of December, so head on over to harbortrucks.com for more information. I am so excited. I can't wait. And yes, we have our favorite captain from the Strike Zone Northeast region, Tommy Derringer.
Tommy.
What's up, guys? Hey, you know what? We couldn't have timed it any better to talk about some bait, because here in the Strike Zone Northeast region, we got a lot of bait going on right now. You know, there's a ton of bait around, especially inshore. And you know what? Our mullet run has definitely started to kick off. Now, over the past couple of weeks, those mullet, they've really started to move throughout the region. There's some huge schools of those 6 to 8 inch mullet moving down the beach from Fernandina all the way to St. Augustine. Now, those schools of mullet, they can be found right there on the shoreline of the beach to just outside the breakers. Now, all kinds of fish, tarpon, sharks, redfish, jacks, even some Spanish mackerel are getting in on the action, chasing around those mullet. Now, we've been free-lining live mullet around those schools on a 5/0 VMC circle hook, and you know, you do that, you're just about guaranteed you're gonna hook into something big. Now, there's still quite a few pogie schools along the beach as well. The tarpon in particular have really been smashing those pogie pods over the last week. Now, this has been one of the better summers of tarpon fishing that I can remember, with good numbers of tarpon just about every time I've been out there fishing those pogie pods. They're fairly easy to locate. You just drive your boat along until you see that school of pogies flipping on the surface. And then again, you just free lining or fishing a pogie under a float around those schools of bait. That's been the ticket. And there's been some really big tarpon around. And speaking of big tarpon, I've got a picture here. Captain Matt Chipperfield from Chips Coastal Charters sent me this picture of Jamie Murrayable and a big tarpon that they caught just off the beach in Jacksonville.
That's a cool
staying
picture, Tommy.
inshore, it's staying with the bait theme. You know, we have a decent shrimp run happening throughout the region, and those redfish, they've been up in the super shallow stuff chasing those little shrimp. Now we have a midday low tide, and if you push all the way back in any of the creeks north of the Volano Bridge all the way up to Palm Valley, you're gonna see some backing and tailing redfish. Now, I saw quite a few redfish rooster tailing it through inches of water and mud this past week, and it's a really cool sight to see. A small soft plastic like the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner, rig that on a weightless, weedless hook, and that works really well for those skinny water redfish as you can present it nice and soft. Now we also have a flood tide right at dark over the next couple of days, so expect to see those redfish chasing the shrimp up in the grass as well. Now the big bull reds have been chewing this past week in the St. Augustine Inlet, as well as up there in the St. Johns River near the Dames Point Bridge. A live pogie or mullet rigged on a fish finder rig with enough weight to hold the bottom's been working really well, and an hour on either side of either low or high tide has been the best bite. Speaking of bull redfish, I've got another picture here. My buddy Barrett King sent me this picture of Victoria Villarreal with a big bull redfish they caught in the St. Johns River. Now moving offshore, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot of guys getting offshore because of the strong east wind we've had, but there's still a decent kingfish bite going on throughout the region. A lot of the captains that I spoke to said they were picking up a few big fish in that 30+ pound range this week while bottom fishing out in the deeper stuff. There's also still a few decent sized fish hanging in close to the beach, although it's been a little sporty for anyone with a smaller boat with those east winds I was just talking about before. Now the near shore stuff, it's still pretty consistent for the smaller fish, and there's been quite a few big Spanish mackerel around in the same areas and around all the area inlets. Now staying offshore, you know, the bottom fishing has been really good in the 120 to 140 foot depths. The mangrove snapper bite has been really good, although it has been tapering off a little since the last full moon when they were schooled up and spawning. I spoke to Captain Jason Hadges from jhookfishingcharters.com. He tells me he's been chumming the mangoes up, but as we get further away from that moon, he's gonna go back to fishing the bottom with sardines on the reefs in that 21 fathom range. Now Jason said they've also been catching good numbers of vermilion snapper and a few muttons as well. But Jason said that even though the mangroves won't be tightly schooled up like they were around that full moon, there's still gonna be some really big ones around. And I've got one last picture here. This is one of those giant mangrove snapper that Toby caught with Captain Jason aboard the J-Hook out of St. Augustine.
You know, Tommy, I got some unfinished business up there. I came up there, Brie, to shoot a mangrove snapper show, but the kingfish bite was so crazy, we turned it into a kingfish show. But Tommy, I got some unfinished business with that big
We got to get you on some of those mangoes, man. We got to do it.
All right, tell Gibby I'm going to book him soon.
All right, sounds good.
I will see you, dude. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone northeast hotspots from the northeast region. Inshore, tarpon along the beaches and all the area inlets. Look for them busting fish in the schools of mullet and pogies. And then offshore, mangroves, muttons, vermilion snappers in 120 to 140 foot depths out of St. Augustine on both natural and wrecks.
Hey, when life gives you kings, you make a kingfish show.
That's right.
That's what happens. The Flagler Construction Northwest region has all the bait you'll need and more, but you might want to listen up to Captain Jeff Hageman for the details.
Bait, we've got several species in my area that are commonly used in the region. Shrimp being probably the biggest one, live shrimp, pinfish, pigfish, scaled sardines, thread fins, Spanish sardines, and mullet are probably some of the most common. As far as catching the bait, that's another challenge, that how you start your day off first thing in the morning. Some of it can be bought at local bait shops. Cast nets in my region are a very popular way to catch bait, and especially sardines. If you haven't thrown one, an 8 to 12 foot 3/8 mesh net is probably the most common in my region. And a little practice in the backyard will get you throwing it. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there to learn how to cast it. But sardines can be caught on the grass flats, bridges, piers. Chumming will help concentrating them. As far as other baits go, sabiki rigs are commonly used for catching fret fins, blue runners, jigging it right off the channel markers or hard bottoms. Pinfish and pigfish can be caught in traps on the deeper grass flats. We actually put pinfish traps out, bait them up, and put them out on the bottom, leave them overnight, and use them the next morning. In the summer months, on the full moons, you hear me talk about pass crabs a lot and using those for tarpon and permit. And those can be caught by just going out in your boat on the afternoon, evening tide, on that outgoing tide, and dipping them up. But that's pretty good coverage of all our bait we use. And staying offshore with it right now, the mangrove snapper bite in my region remains to be strong throughout the shallow as 10 feet and on out to 70 feet over any high relief structure right now. Rock piles, artificial reefs, and wrecks. A knocker rig has been the key to catching them, and light fluorocarbon leader, so 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, a small 1/0 to 3/0 circle hook, and 1/2 ounce to 3 ounces of egg sinker. As far as bait goes, live shrimp have been really working well, and cut sardines. Small pinfish have been the ticket for catching those bigger mangrove snapper. Moving on inshore, Captain Stacy, and I hope that I'm pronouncing this right, Hurak of fishing charters with Captain Stacy out of Yankeetown, Inglis, gave me a new report. This is a new reporter for the region. So the redfish bite in her region has been at the beginning of the outgoing tide, looking for oyster beds around the south side of the barge canal, and they're biting on live shrimp, hooked through the tail on a 1/4 ounce mission fishing in the gold color. Live pinfish have also been working with a 2 to 3/0 circle hook. Average sizes have been 23 to 28 inches. Captain Jimbo Keith, the saltwater fishing assassin charters out of Cedar Key, reports the redfish bite in his area is still pretty good, both in the incoming and outgoing tide. Find schools of mullet, and you'll find the redfish, he says. Fresh cut mullet fished on the bottom is producing the best action. And when fishing on the bottom, you also want to fish around those oyster bars that have mullet too. Captain Brady, Mark Brady of Florida Saltwater Flats Fishing Charters out of Steen Hatchery, reports the redfish in his area have started to school, and baits with a lot of flash and vibration or cut bait on the bottom has been working well in his area. And I've got a couple photos of some redfish. One of that first one there is Captain Mike Anderson, Big Mike with his daughter Georgia.
Nice.
With a nice Tampa Bay redfish. And the second one comes from Jimbo Keith. Staying inshore, Captain Mario Costello of Talltail Charters fishing out of the Plantation Inn on Crystal River reports a good flounder bite on the rocky shoreline and oyster bottoms from Crystal River to Yankeetown. He's using live shrimp tail hooked on a 1/4 ounce jig head and working it slow and low to the bottom and fishing those drop-offs and transitions where the rock turns to sand bottom. Most of the flounder they've been catching have been ranging anywhere from 16 to 24 inches. And I got a photo here of Lo Morrison with a nice Crystal River flounder caught with Mario.
All right, thank you so much, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Northwest region hotspots. Jeff says inshore snook around the beaches and passes use pinfish or sardines on the outgoing tide, and then offshore mangrove snapper on high relief structures in 30 to 70 feet of water use cut sardines on a knocker rig.
Well, Rick, you're busy. Another event coming up is Flo Loco's first annual Florida Sports Fest, September 29th at 10 a.m., where Rick will be giving fishing seminars all day at the Orlando Festival Park. It should be a fun day with musical artists and good times, so make sure to join him. That'll be fun.
Look at that smile.
Look at you right in the middle of that flag.
Right in the middle.
Shoot. You're always in the middle. All right, stay with us, anglers. Up next, we're heading to the Keys, but first, we're seeing what the workbench is all about for some new product action. Dave.
I've been hypnotized. I've been hypnotized.
Hypnotized. We're going to name him Turbo. We'll be right back.
There you go, Turbo.
I'm spun up.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes.
For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger, setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating, packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 four-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala ripstop.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Well, here we are at the CCA Workbench talking about new products,
Yes,
Dave,
sir.
And
starting off with the Yeti Rambler.
This needs to go as part of the cooking segment. For
Yeah,
sure.
that's the 10-ounce wine tumbler. Very nice. It holds 10 ounces, obviously. It's got the no sweat design, so it won't sweat. Keeps your wine or whatever you put in there safe from your hot hands, your hot little hands. You know.
And it's shaped right so that we can swish it.
Yeah, I guess if you
and
want to do
we can let
that.
our wine aerate.
Yeah, you can do that with whiskey too.
Yeah?
Yeah, whiskey.
I don't
like
know
the
so
smell.
much about the wine, but I do know about
It's made
the
of
other
a thick gauge too as well, so you're not going to ding it up or dent it. I mean, those things are strong. Maximum enjoyment. Dishwasher safe once you return to civilization as well. So,
If you return to
if you return,
civilization.
if you want to come back.
Well,
But anyway,
Yeti's made for civilization or not.
over-engineered for maximum enjoyment. There you go. That's what they say.
That's awesome.
All right. All right. Next we have is Costas. These are the Canaverals.
Oh.
Yeah, from up where I live. These are the Navigators, large Navigator theme with a, they got the squared off frame, built with the ultra strong out of titanium. So, they're really light, very strong.
Space Force.
Exactly. Front frame is made from the titanium in the temples as well. So it's hard to mess them up. They're very ultra light because of that. And they have the Hydrolite nose pads and the temples to keep them in place.
Amazingly light.
Yeah, and they come in multiple frame colors and styles, and those are the black with the gray, 100% UV. Next is we got a cool topwater plug by the band of anglers, Patrick Sevile's company. It's called the Flying Pencil, and this thing is made on the cast to really fly, and it's got angled wings on the back that are angled up, so it'll give it some lift. It's also got these ridges on the bottom that breaks up the airflow. Same thing in the water when it's coming back at you. Those ribs make all kinds of splashing noises, and those wings keep it. Yep, and the wings keep it side to side. You can walk the dog with it. You can spit it. You can chug it. You can tell it's got great big hooks on it and through wire all the way through, and good hardware. So the thing's made to catch big fish.
Nice.
So and it'll do it. 6X treble hooks. Those are the 4X. They even make a bigger one than that.
Wow.
So, yeah. Next we got these little lunker hunt. They were the ones that hypnotized me. These are the prop. These are called the prop fish. And I'm a big fan of top water baits of all kinds. And these are kind of like a little fish frog hybrid. But that little prop on the back, when it's shooting through the water about a medium speed, that thing is plop, 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 just kind of like a whopper plopper in reverse. a little smaller version. It's got the hollow body and the upturned hook, so when anything comes up from underneath it and
Pretty
crushes
weedless.
it, yeah, very weedless design.
Sound like a little kid in a mud puddle.
Oh, I can't wait to throw it.
Yeah, man.
I can't. So I'm big happy on those things.
Big happy.
Big happy. And this is a I'm always looking for little cool stuff. I like Gerber products. I grew up in a household where we used Gerber scissors all the time. My mom's a seamstress, so we used a lot of them. They're very sharp. This is the 12 tool multiplier called the Dime. And you can see it's got a ton of little tools on there, scissors. It's got a little package opener, you know, for the hard stuff that you get these days with the hard plastic. That little plastic opener there.
Right.
Pliers are spring loaded. It's got a little pair of tweezers in one end.
Yep.
2 little flathead screwdrivers and a nice little sharp blade, so you can do with anything. Plus, it's small. It's real tiny. You can put that on a keychain and do all kinds of cool stuff with it.
Cool stuff.
Yep. Real quick before we go, I got this was the thing that was in the bottom of that cooler. It's called the Fish Saver Live Well Aerator, and it's made by Metal Products. Marine Metal Products. So I'm sorry. So if you guys are looking for that thing, there it is. It does 25 gallons of water in any cooler. And it's suction cups to the side or the bottom, so you don't have to worry about the height. And if you do, you can always adjust the height. You can cut this tube or put a longer one on it, whatever you want to do.
And have the ability to adjust the volume.
Correct. Really cool little thing.
All right. Speaking of adjusting the volume, Brie, we got to go to another region, please.
I will do so. If you're looking for that bait ball, the Keys has it, and Captain Randy Tao is telling us where to find it. Go for it, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, when we talk about live bait in the Keys, it's really important that it's popular for all the different species you're going to catch, whether you're offshore or in the backcountry. But you're going to need a few tools, like a cast net. You want to make sure that your cast net is legal size. If you're in Everglades National Park, you can only have up to a 10-footer. And then on the ocean side, the rules are a little different. I think 12 is what you can have on the Atlantic side. But sabikis are important as well. I like the R&R sabiki rigs. A number 4 and a number 6 are about the 2 sizes that I use day in, day out for all kinds of different baits. Now, a chum bag is another important thing, especially on the ocean if you're going to be on a patch reef, or if you find some birds diving and you want to catch your pilchards. Throwing the cast net's always a quick way to get the job done and have plenty of bait. But if you hook and line them with your sabiki and you use a dehooker and you don't touch your bait, drop them right in the live well, you're going to have a lot better bait and it's going to last longer. And a lot of the guys, especially tournament guys, are real particular on handling their bait, and that's how they play that game. The backcountry, you're going to find a lot of pinfish, finger mullet, regular big size mullet for tarpon, that sort of thing back there. And you're going to look for the birds diving, and you're also going to look for mullet, for example, either in a mud or you'll see them up on the surface flipping, and that's a key sign right there. When you want to throw your cast net, you want to be a little careful because you never know, letting it sink to the bottom back there, what you're going to come up with for a bycatch. But that's how we get bait done in the Keys, and it's something that you just got to be in the right place at the right time and recognize the birds and the conditions around you. Early morning is key. You want to get up at first light because an hour or two late can make all the difference in your day. So keep that in mind when you're going to go catch bait.
All right, let's go ahead and go stay offshore, bub.
The swordfish bite, you know, this is a great time of year. I love July and August. Here we are into September. And the bite's pretty consistent. Guys are going out there during the day, mostly. Not many guys are going at night. But the daytime fishing's pretty consistent in about 1,500 to 1,700 feet seems to be the general depth. And you're going to use a heavy rod with 65 to 80-pound braided line and about 10 or 12 pounds of lead, depending on your current and your conditions out there. And what you're trying to do is get your bait down to the bottom, but you also want to stay vertical. So you don't want a big belly in your line if you can help it. So a lot of times you have to motor into the current, and we call that power drifting, so that you can keep your line straight up and down from your rod tip. And it's important to watch the tip of the rod. That's how you're going to know when you get a bite. And sometimes it's very subtle. It's not real obvious, and it just takes a little bouncing of the rod sometimes to be a bite. So you want to be paying attention to that. But a fresh bait like a bonita belly or a dolphin belly, we use strip baits mostly, and they work best because they're hardy. A fish can hit them several times and they don't come off the hook, where a squid is a great bait, but it's very soft and they come apart pretty easy. So I've got a photo of Captain Travis Dickens with his boat, the Indigenous, out of Bud and Mary's with a 50-incher they caught a few days ago.
Nice. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Snook fishing, you know, September 1st was opening day of snook season, and a lot of people thought they were going to have snook for dinner, and some did. But, you know, there's been quite a few big ones in the backcountry, and guys are finding a lot of fish over the slot size. You know, that 33-inch mark is a big snook, but right now some of these fish are 36 and 38 inches long. The Flamingo area was good. I did hear guys that did better, believe it or not, in shallow water up on top of the flats, sight fishing for the slot size fish. And then the guys that fished around the mangrove islands and the beaches and some of those deeper channels along the west coast were coming up with some bigger fish. And the best thing for us was live pinfish on a 3/8-ounce jig head was working good. And I've got a photo of Ralph Shepard from Vero Beach with his 37-inch snook he caught a little too big for dinner.
Yep, a little too big. All right, bub, what you got else? Trout?
You know, the trout bite in this time of year, especially along the beaches, can be really good. And guys are just looking to catch stuff, whether it's jacks, trout, ladyfish. But some of these trout have been really nice size, and they're a lot of fun to catch on a light spinning rod, especially with a popping cork or a soft plastic. And Captain Donnie Benbow, he's a young guide out of the Lorelei in Islamorada, sent me this picture of his angler, Lee, from Texas. Pretty excited about his big trout.
That's a nice trout. All right, Randy, thank you so much. I got a couple photos myself. I've got, you know, one of our friends, the boss around here at Comptel Studios, Bernard, Pamela, and Tommy. They caught some really nice snappers fishing down in Key Largo. Look at those mangs. Good job, guys. Caught a mess of dinner. How awesome is that?
The boss is cashing in. I like it.
That's what I like. All right, we got to get to the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. Let's see what Randy says. Inshore, snook fish the incoming tide along the shorelines. Use live bait on a 3/8-ounce lead head. And then offshore, dolphin look for the floating debris of any kind in 300 to 600 feet of water. Always keep an eye out for the suspecting bird, Brie.
Okay, Rick, let's check out some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, shall we?
Let's go.
The Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Fishing Championship is set for September 21st through the 23rd, based in Islamorada. Anglers will target 7 different species. And the Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge is scheduled for September 28th through the 30th in Key Largo. Anglers will focus on trout and snook and redfish while raising funds for local student scholarships. And now, Rick, let's check in with Andy Newman to see what tournament he's featuring.
Let's do it.
Well, hi guys. On this week's show, we want to pause to remember a most unwelcome visitor to the Florida Keys. Last year's Hurricane Irma created adversity for the Keys as well as other parts of Florida. But adversity can create opportunities for renewal and rebirth. And while some Keys residents continue to face recovery challenges, the majority of our tourism facilities are back, and some are better than ever. Last week, Hawks Cay Resort near Marathon reopened after a $50 million renovation project, and well before that, many other resorts came back online. Now, nearly a year after Irma, 90% of our hotels, motels, and campgrounds are providing quality vacation experiences. Most that haven't finished reconstruction should be ready before the end of the year. Restaurants, Keys attractions, water sports operators, and sport fishing captains are back in business as well. There's more details at flakeys.com.
The Keys are back and we're ready to go.
All right,
I
let's
love
go.
it. All right, we're headed to the Central East and Southeast regions, and I hope everyone is hungry because we have Chef Jacqueline making the studio smell real good for us when we come back right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Whoa.
Yum! And remember, if you want to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and view and tag us on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Volvo equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Volvo, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Volvo sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Push boundaries with Volvo. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations, or visit us on the web at www.flaglerce.com.
Welcome, Chef Jacqueline, to the show. You know what? The best stuff happens during the commercial breaks, and we're over here cooking. What are we going to have tonight?
We are having blackened shrimp tacos.
Whoa.
Yes.
So what do we need for that?
Well, I'll tell you, my personal favorite is Key West pink shrimp. And that's what I'm going to make for you tonight.
All right, so how are we going to do it?
Well, well, first of all, can I show you something really interesting?
Of course.
So here you go. Give me that little sucker there. Here's the cool thing about the shrimp, the pink shrimp. You can always tell if it's a Key West pink shrimp by that little red dot there. You see that?
What?
A lot of people don't know that. It's kind of a cool thing.
That's awesome. So if he doesn't have a dot like a redfish,
yeah, they're tricking you.
All right, so
I'm gonna go ahead and just get this going, okay? And then while we're doing this, I want to tell you that the reason we're doing this is when I go over to the Bahamas or the Caribbean, the thing I love the most is that they make that conch salad. Did you ever watch those guys make that stuff?
Of course, yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
Right.
So anyway, we decided to bring that over here, and we upscaled it a little bit, and we decided to turn it into a shrimp ceviche.
Oh.
So your blackened fish shrimp tacos are going to be with shrimp ceviche instead of cheese and lettuce and that sort of thing.
All right, so obviously you're cooking the shrimp.
Yeah.
First off, what else are we going to have?
Well, first of all, you got to put a little blackening seasoning on it.
Nice.
Okay. And then a little bit of salt.
Keep going, you're doing great.
And then we're going to throw the garlic in last because otherwise it'll burn.
Okay, put a little extra, as much as you can.
Yeah, well, there you go. Boom.
I'm a garlic kind of man, you know.
Oh my God, well, we're going to get along really great. So, I'm going to put these big chunks in here when we're all done,
right?
Because I think that I like my shrimp to be nice and big and hearty.
Got it.
And so while we're waiting for this, I'm going to go ahead and set one of these up for you. Okay.
So now
this is where we go. We're going to start right here with this plate. Let me just grab that.
All right.
And this is what we do. We start with this is our aioli, and this is made with garlic, mayonnaise, a little bit of onion, and parsley.
Smells wonderful.
And I don't know if you're a mayonnaise person, but I am. So we're going to really slather that on.
I like it.
And then instead of cheddar cheese, we're going to do the queso blanco.
Okay.
So, because it's just really tasty. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on our ceviche.
Okay.
Okay. And actually, I'm hoping that I'm timing this just in time. Then I'm going to be able to put those great big beautiful shrimp on there for you.
So the ceviche, is there anything specific that you like better than one thing or another?
Well, the thing about the ceviche is we add, as opposed to, other kinds of tacos, we have a lot of cucumber in it. And it really brings out the flavor. These are all the things that we actually put. We've got tomato, cucumber, garlic, and then there's red onion and yellow pepper. And the most important thing is, because it's like the conch, is we've got a lot of lime juice and orange juice.
Okay.
Okay.
What else?
So let me just wrap these up here for you.
Now, for the sake of TV,
I
obviously
like
you're going
it.
to keep cooking.
I like it.
But this is what our dish is going to look like, guys. So we got our 2 tacos, one for me and one for Jacqueline, and then we're going to share some banana chips.
And those banana chips are so that when all that juice starts running out, when you pick it up and eat it, you can use those plantains to...
So, Brie, I'll be over here tending this. Jacqueline, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for coming to see us here.
Thank you, Jacqueline. One for me, one for Jacqueline, and one for Brie. Hey.
I hope he saves one for you, Brie.
He will, he will. Let's kick it with the Bell Central East region and see what Captain Jim Ross has planned for us this weekend. Go for it, Jim.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a whole lot going on. The fall mullet run has started and really kicked off. It's going strong right now with these little bit of swells that we got from the east winds. And the mullet run, you know, as we refer to it, is basically not really a run. It's not really a migration. It's more like a running of the gauntlet for these poor bait fish. As you know, basically every predator out there in the ocean, from sharks to jacks to tarpon, king and Spanish mackerel, flounder, redfish, snook, bluefish, you name it, they're gorging themselves on mullet for the next month and a half. So this is the best time of the year for the bait fish to, you know, for us to talk about bait fish, because this is our biggest bait fish run of the season. Now, you're going to get aerial displays by the snook, the tarpon, and the kings right off the beaches. And I'm telling you what, some of these things are actually going to rival the launch pads that we have out here at the Space Center whenever we light a rocket off, because those things get up in the air. They'll be 6, 7, 8 feet in the air. We can't wait to get back out there and start catching them this weekend. And I know a lot of guys and gals that are really looking forward to that. Now, the other thing that we've got going on is snook inside of the inlets. And in the Bell Central East region, we just opened this past weekend, and we have had some excellent catches throughout the region. So if you guys and gals haven't been able to get out there, you want to get yourself a legal-sized snook to bring home for dinner, go get a Rapala X-Rap 12 or 14 and take it out to the inlets. Whether you're fishing in the morning, first thing at light, or at night, they're really, really eating those things right now. Now, if you're fishing in the daytime, pins, pigs, croakers, they'll all work. Mullet, obviously, will work because they're migrating through right now. But put them up next to the rocks and just wait for one of those snook to jump down there and get a hold of it. And I've got a picture here of a nice couple of Canaveral snook here that we got here this past week. So if you guys and gals are looking to get out there, you can definitely get out there and catch some of those.
Nice.
Now, the tarpon. We've got great numbers of tarpon right now, Brie. Schools of bait fish obviously are coming down the beaches. They're feeding on them, but we've also got menhaden out there as well. You want to look for where the birds are diving and feeding. That's going to give away the bait fish pod locations, and that's going to give away you're just going to give you an indication as to ones you want to fish versus the ones you don't want to fish. Birds working are going to create, that's going to be your signal. That's going to create the urgency to get to that pod right then, because the reason that the birds are feeding on that pod is because the fish underneath them are pushing them up and blowing them out of the water so the birds can grab them easier, especially if you see frigate birds working right along the shoreline. That's a key indicator to get there. And you want to take a 7/0 or 8/0 VMC hook, put it in one of those bait fish and slide it back out there. Most of our tarpon right now are running 50 to 80 pounds, but we can catch some fish up into the 100-pound class. And I've got a picture here of a fish that Earl Crawley caught with me. This is one of 3 that he caught this past week. And remember, next year, this year it's over with, but next year make sure that you get in on the CCA tournament, the Star Tournament, because you can enter tarpon into that tournament. Now, the last fish we've got is king mackerel, and obviously you can catch them offshore, but the larger fish right now have moved in with this bait run that we've got going on. The 20 to 40-pound class fish are right on the beach in those mullet and pogie pods that I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. So check the tide lines in particular at Ponce and Sebastian. Those are really good places to find really big, solitary smokers as they're working those edges of those color changes. And then at the Canaveral buoy line, that's another place that can really catch fire just about any time now with the fall mullet run kicking in. If you don't find them inshore, obviously you can run out to the 70 to 90-foot reefs because they typically hold kingfish all year long. And right now, either live or frozen baits, slow trolled in both of these areas, are going to help you get your rod bent this weekend.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, from the Central East Bells region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central East region. Inshore, snook and redfish at the inlets. Use Rapala lures at night. For live bait, use mullet or croakers in the day. And then offshore, gag groupers and 180 to 250 foot structures. Use live grunts, pogies on the standard bottom rig. Bree?
Joking on some shrimp there, Rick?
Oh, man.
Taking a break. I haven't even gotten
If I gotta
in
go,
yet.
what a way to go.
Oh, shoot. If you're in the Casa Vieja Southeast region and plan on filling up the live well, listen up to Captain Jimbo Thomas. Talk to us, Jimbo.
What you got, Jimmy?
You got it, Bree, and hello, Rick and Dave. Well, you know, the reason we have such great fishing here in the Southeast region is because of all that live bait we have running around, and that's what all those big fish we like to catch feed on. Here in the Southeast region, all you need is a block of chum, a couple packs of sabikis, or a cast net, or a pocket full of cash to fill up that live well. And there's plenty of great spots to catch bait throughout the region, although we have lost a few of our good spots due to the Coast Guard taking down some of our markers like Bug Light and stuff down here in the Southeast region. But Blue Heron Bridge in Lake Worth, that's a great spot. Any of the fishing piers along the coast, in and around all the inlets, the navigation markers and buoys, and also around numerous bait patches. Now, for some reason, there's a lot of little patches out there, but the bait only like to hang around certain ones. So once you find them, and if there's bait there, they'll keep coming back to it. Now, we like to use sabikis. That's our preferred method for catching threadfin herrings, pilchards, goggle eyes, sardines, cigar minnows, blue runner, speedos, ballyhoo, pinfish, just about anything that swims will eat those sabiki rigs. And the chum will usually bring those baits close to the boat in a pretty short time, and you just drop your sabiki and pull them up. Then about the only time we use a cast net is when we find a school of pilchards or on mullet and ballyhoo. But the hook and line baits will definitely live a lot better, keep in better shape than those cast netted baits. Then also you want to use a de-hooker to unhook those baits, especially on the sabikis. That'll help keep them lively and also save your hands from those little sabiki hooks. And of course you want to have a good-sized bait well with lots of water flow. That'll help keep those baits alive for days. Then what we also like to do is keep a couple fresh bonitas in the fish box, and we can cut them up for cut bait for dolphin or cut strips out of them to troll with, especially if we don't have any ballyhoo around. Now, staying inshore, snook season opened up on September 1st, which was last Saturday, and there's been plenty of snook around. There's snook in all of the inlets, and there be caught on live pilchards, herrings, pinfish, croakers, mullet, whatever bait's the most abundant in your part of the region. And you want to drift them near the bottom on a Jupiter rig, or you can use flare hawk jigs, soft plastics, and also those Rapala magnums like Jim was talking about. Then all of the bridges of the ICW, they're also holding snook. They're being caught on both the live and the artificial baits, and you want to fish along those shadow lines. Now, both the inlets and the bridges, the outgoing tide is going to be the best. Now, along the beaches from Lake Worth Inlet south to Government Cut, there's snook also coming up and down the beach, running in that deep trough that's just off the beach, and they're feeding on live pilchards and herrings and artificials that resemble small pilchards. And the best time to target these beach snook has been early in the morning or late in the afternoons, and you do it by boat or by foot. Now, moving offshore, there's been plenty enough dolphin around to make a trip offshore. Just about anything floating has been holding fish. They've been in about the 5 to 10 pound range. Not a lot of big ones, but they've been big fat schoolies. And most of these floaters that we've been finding have been from 800 feet of water on out to 1,200 feet or deeper. And most of the times there have been birds working over these floaters, and they're pointing those fish out to us. Aboard the Thomas Flyer, we're constantly scanning the horizon with our binoculars, looking for that bird activity. Then there's also some fish being caught on ballyhoo and small lures on the troll, but the weed has been pretty bad, so if you got an area that's not too bad, you can troll through it. And then once we locate those fish, we've been casting small live pilchards and blue runners or cut bonita to them using 20-pound spinners. Now, I got a photo here. This is a 28-pound bull dolphin. That's the biggest one that we've caught in the last couple of weeks. So he was lost, but he got really lost when he found us.
Nice fish, sweet. Jimbo. What about some swordfish, bub?
Then you got it. The daytime swordfish bite has really been good offshore, anywhere from 1,800 to 2,000 feet of water anywhere from Government Cut north to Lake Worth Inlet, so basically the whole region. And the night bite's been so-so, but most everyone has been doing that daytime fishing, so that night they could be biting right now. It looks like we're going to have good weather coming up for the weekend, so it'll be prime time to get out there. Now in the daytime, we like to fish big bonita strips or rigged squid, or dolphin strips work really good as well. You want to use 10-0 to 12-0 hooks and a long 300-pound monofilament leader, and you want to put some lights up above those baits. And try to fish the bait as close to the bottom without snagging. Now in the Miami area, hanging bottom's a big problem, but as you get further north, the bottom tends to flatten out with less hang-ups. You know, depending on the current, you want to fish anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds of weight. That's what you need to hit and hold bottom. So most everybody, including ourselves, are using electric reels for daytime dropping. And most of these swordfish have been in the 100 to 200-pound range, but you never know when a monster is going to bite.
All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Jimbo says inshore, look for the snook in all the inlets and off the beaches in the evening and early mornings where they're eating live and artificial baits. And then offshore, cast live and cut bait to dolphin offshore around any of the floating debris.
Why are you getting so cozy over here with this Nissan Titan?
You know what? Because I just remembered that my Titan has a 5-year bumper-to-bumper, 100,000-mile warranty.
You just remembered that?
I just remembered.
Oh, shoot.
I'm a little slow sometimes.
High five.
High five.
Proud of you. Well, Rick, we know CCA banquets are always a good time, so join them for the 33rd annual banquet and auction at Coral Gables Country Club from 6 to 8 p.m., where there will be a live auction, raffles, dinner, and entertainment. So for more information and to purchase your tickets, go to ccaflorida.org. It's always a good time, ain't it, Rick?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all right. We've got one more region to check out here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and that would be the East region. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with your Capitan.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Suffix. Always use the best line. The IGFA. Fish for the future. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Volvo dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Today's power pole tip is about the drift paddle. So guys, so many times when you're out drift fishing, the boat doesn't seem to want to drift in the direction that you want it to go. So we've created the drift paddle at Power Pole, and it simply attaches to the back of your power pole. And by pulling a pin, you can change the angle of the paddle itself. And what this does is it gives you an extended rudder. Now, the other thing that I really like about the paddles is essentially they're like water brakes. I can slow my drift down. Or when I'm bridge fishing down in the Florida Keys and I have the wind and the tide going in different directions, more often than not, I might have a tendency to blow up my anchor rope. Well, guess what? I can put the paddles straight down, use the current to hold me on my anchor rope. The other thing that I like about the paddles is that it really slows my drift down whenever I'm fishing wrecks or structure. So by putting the paddles down, I can slow way down, giving more time in the fish zone. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. Water brakes, my dear. Water brakes. Total boat control.
Oh, water brakes, got it.
Yeah,
I thought he was like flossing, dancing over here.
Oh, no.
Show us your dance moves, Rick, go for it. All right, if you're fishing in the East region this weekend, you can sleep late if you use bait. At least that's what Captain Mike Holliday says. Mimi. Hi, Mike.
How are you doing, Brie? There's like two things you need to know about bait. If there's bait fish around, there's going to be predators around, and it's usually more effective to use bait in the middle of the day than it is to use lures, because the fish get a little better look at bait, or the lures in the middle of the day. Now, one of the best techniques is to catch the bait, put a hook in it, throw it right back in the bait school and catch the fish that are feeding on the bait. Now, the fall mullet run's just kicking into gear. It'll only get better as the month goes on, usually peaking around mid-September and mid-October. But the mullet are already showing in St. Lucie and Martin counties, and we should see the first of the finger mullet schools pushing down the beach and in the intercoastal waterway with the big tides that we're going to get on this week's new moon. At the same time, the red minnow run's taking place on the beach with minnow schools near St. Lucie and Fort Pierce inlets. You can also, you can catch the mullet and the minnows with cast nets. I use a half-inch, 10-foot Calcutta net on the mullet and an 8-foot, 3/16-inch net on the minnows. Offshore, you're better to go with a sabiki rig. Spanish sardines, redfin herring, they're ganged up on the reefs and wrecks right now. You can sabiki them with a number 6 R&R sabiki rig, but be sure to use at least 2 ounces of weight on your sabiki rig. That keeps the baits from tangling up the rig. Moving inshore, wind, rain, and rough seas kind of put a damper on the opening weekend of snook season. But there were still some good catches that took place at the Lake Worth Pier and the Juneau Pier, also at Jupiter Inlet, the 25-cent Bridge in Stewart, and the Fort Pierce Inlet. This week's new moon will be really the last major spawning push in the inlets, but there's still a lot of fish moving in and out of the inlets, as well as in the surf in places like Hope Sound Beach, Jensen Beach, and Pepper Park Beach up in Fort Pierce. There's also still a lot of juvenile bait fish in the surf, so you can throw anything that looks like a small pilchard or mullet, like a saltwater assassin 4-inch shad, or a chartreuse swimming plug. Around the inlets, mullet and thread fins are going to be the hot baits as they push in and out of the inlet. While around the bridges, it'll be a red-tip hawk jig on the windy nights, topwater plugs or swimming plugs on the calm nights. The average snook's going to be 4 to 14 pounds. I got a photo. That's Cade Krauthamel. He caught that nice snook. He caught it along the north jetty of the St. Lucie Inlet, and that fish ate a live mullet.
Let's go offshore, Hollywood.
Well, whenever we get a little tropical weather passing through in either September and October, the snapper bite really fires up as the water dirties and the fish become less leader shy. There's been a huge push of yellowtail snapper onto the Palm Beach and southern Martin County reefs over the last couple of weeks, with the best bites in 65 to 90 feet of water. There's also some good mutton and mangrove snapper in that mix, but the best snapper bite has been off Jensen Beach, where Captain John Earhart, has been working in those 5 and 8 pound mangrove snapper out of a 75-foot reef using Spanish sardines, redfins, and cigar minnows. On the days when the current's not honking, you can anchor up and chum and bring the snapper right to the surface, then drop back a pilchard or a chunk of bonita. When there's a lot of current, you're better off drifting and bouncing the bottom using 50-pound braided line, a 50-pound fluorocarbon leader, a 5.0 VMC circle hook, and just enough lead to hold bottom. And in this area, the average yellowtail is going to be like 1 to 2 pounds. Average mangrove is going to be more like 2 to 5 pounds. Just to give you an idea what the big ones look like, I got a photo Jack Clinton, he caught that big mangrove snapper. He was fishing with Captain John Earhart of Chaos Fishing Adventures. The other thing, the kingfish bite will pick up again with the new moon this weekend, with the fish most active early and late in the day, particularly around the bait schools. Look for them in 90 feet of water off Jupiter, on the Loran Tower Ledge, on the sand pile off Stewart, the 6 Mile Reef. They'll also come in close to shore, even getting up on the beach to feed on the mullet schools up in the Vero Cove and just north of Fort Pierce Inlet by the condos. You can target the kings with everything from a rigged ribbon fish to a live mullet, a blue runner, a goggle-eye. The best bait's been a live or dead Spanish sardine, drifted out behind the boat on a triple hook rig, or slow troll them on number 4 wire stinger rigs. Average kingfish 7 to 15 pounds, but there's some 35-pound fish in on the beach.
All right, let's talk about some freshwater fish. What about the bass, Bubba?
Well, you know, with the heavy rains that we had on Monday, the largemouth and peacock bass fishing has really picked up around the spillways and the culverts in the canals on the Lake Ida and Osborne chain in Palm Beach County. There's been plenty of shad in the lake and in the E4 canal. That's really fired up the topwater and the lipless crankbait bite. Really, the first 2 hours of the day is when that's going on. The key's been to fish docks, bridges, and the down current side of any shoreline structure. It seems like the fish are sitting out of the current. Look for bass, actively busting the shad schools right at first light. There's been a bunch of peacock bass as well, schooling along the shorelines and bridges of the Boynton Canal, and a few clown knife fish in the mix as well, mostly near the bridges. For the largemouth bass, the bite's been more around the shoreline culverts and the fish attracting structures that are out in the deeper water, the open lakes. In the heat of the day, live shad or shiners are pretty much the way to go. Free line them along the shoreline or pitch them up around the docks, particularly the docks with a lot of shade. Average bass right now, 1 to 3 pounds. Average peacock, more than like 2 pounds. Put a full day in on the water, you'll end up with about 40 fish.
Thank you so much, Hollywood. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Atlas Jack Plate hotspots from the East region inshore, tarpon and snook on the minnow schools on the south side of the St. Lucie Inlet, topwater plugs, white saltwater assassins, split tail grubs, and live mullet, and then offshore kingfish on the 6 Mile Reef off of Stewart, slow troll live Spanish sardines, or drift them on a triple hook monofilament Palm Beach rig.
I believe that was slit tail grubs. Okay, when we come back here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're telling you what to get rigged up for next week, so stay hooked. It might be a slit tail jig.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower, or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide-and-seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Make sure to tune in next week because we're talking all about yellowtail.
Snapper.
We're going yellowtailing and Randy Tao's favorite.
You know, Dave, you did a great job over here tonight.
Well, thank you.
With the, you know, and I think one of the things I learned is the most underrated thing that we use for live bait is a bubbler.
Yeah.
Ridge and I have kept pinfish without recirculating the water, only bubbling the water and keeping the water cold for 3 weeks to where they start eating. Wow. And they look good.
Yeah.
So,
most people don't know you can keep bait a long time with those little things.
Marine Metalworks, they make great products, and it just proves that by aerating from the bottom to the surface, you don't necessarily have to recirculate the water.
Right. You have it. We're continuing here.
Good
all right,
job
see you guys
tonight,
next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye, guys.